Good morning, everyone. My name is Regis. I would like to thank for the opportunity for Agri Global as well as Abra. I'm very happy to be here because it's a new market and I was passionate about the market as well as the people and that really devote themselves to do things and work. I was very enchanted by this market. Perhaps my speech might be a little bit different because it's a topic outside the day-to-day scope for those who work with rendering. Can you raise your hand who is used or has already used ChatGPT? Maybe 50%, right? Okay, many people then. I started with artificial intelligence maybe 10 years ago to automate businesses. And that time, it was something not that new. It was hard to sell those ideas. And even though it seems to be something new, it's kind of old because it's been over 50 years that we can see this in the market. But what happened in the last years? It was something very brutal. ChatGPT opened a way, but it's not only it. There are lots of things behind it. And it seems that the rendering industry doesn't have much connection to that. But actually, it's the opposite. I'm going to tell you guys why it has everything to do with artificial intelligence. This is our first contact with the world of information. This is where, you know, for everybody to consume information on internet, they use Google. It started on Yahoo. The directories were the main ones. Before the information would be allocated as directories, then we had Google, and then we created a pattern, and people are going to understand that it's a text box and a button. This is an interface. And with the advancement of technology, this is part of our day-to-day life because it's practically a point of connection between the human beings to these graphical interfaces. They listen and hear us. And in the past, it seemed that it didn't have much to do with it, but that's the main channel. The trend is that everything becomes invisible, and ChatGPT proved that in 2 months, it was able to gather over 100 millions users. Netflix, which is a very common service, it took 10 years for them to achieve that figure. So can you imagine that ChatGPT took only 2 months to achieve something that it seems to be very complex, but people were able to be absorbed in a rather fast way, and this has become part of their day-to-day life because uh, perhaps people will not be able to go back without having access to this kind of technology. So the growth was brutal, and I'm going to show you why ChatGPT was only the beginning of it. There's much more to that. These are the main tasks um, that people use ChatGPT for. So the content generation, it's something that cornered the market. You see on LinkedIn, on the other social media structure of content that people don't, we didn't see it before. Software development, that's the second topic. I am sure that most of you are not really used to this kind of market, but most part of it is already done with agents of artificial intelligence where you connect the tasks and you help the developers to save time in their production. So it started with something simple like a search field that became a chat, and it was a chat box and a button, and you do a research and you would have 100 kinds of results and pages, and it solved that in a very conversational way, bringing in very natural language. It's actually a chat that solves your issues. So imagine coming up with content, developing softwares, and there's something else that it's very interesting because ChatGPT is a service that people use as a chat, but behind that, there are other solutions that are consumed, like the different kinds of assistants that we see, not only that boring robot that we are used to. We're going to request something and it takes you to this endless maze, and then you give up and you try to speak to a human. The solutions that ChatGPT bring, They already come up with a different approach in communication because it's guided according to the context. So there's no maze, the design that sometimes people come up with and provide us with a very bad experience. So we have this technology that comes up with a very natural language. And the other thing is the personal assistance. People are already using this. In the presentation, I mentioned that I'm the CEO of DAOSTER, which is the artificial intelligence platform of businessman, and the Buy Hub, which is a business platform in Dubai, and one of our products there is a artificial intelligence concierge. It helps travelers, tourist travelers, and business travelers for them to have a better experience and save time, as well as resources. And here, that's the main thing that connects everything. Besides, we don't have ChatGPT in the market for such a long time, but MIT, Gartner, and Harvard, they have already developed studies about productivity. And when we talk to artificial intelligence, we wonder if it came to substitute human beings. And actually, that's not the case because artificial intelligence, it's actually a tool. I believe that we are God partners in the building of the world. So we could develop tools to focus on what really matters. And that's exactly what happened. There was a shift for the amount of work, repetitive workload, to focus on business strategies and focus on what really matters on the core business. So this theory that artificial intelligence is going to substitute humans is not, it's not true. And on the contrary, it's actually empowering people that didn't have qualification to go about some tasks. Now they can do much more. And once they exceed this expertise, they can focus on what really matters. By the way, there was an increase on the quality of these tasks of 40% and overall productivity of 50%. So what we're seeing here is a revolution. So to summarize this question that people had, whether artificial intelligence would substitute humans, from what I see here in the industry, it's been a long time since take a close look to this market. It's not going to happen. What's going to happen is people that use artificial intelligence are going to substitute the ones who do not use it. And this is very good because it's part of nature, you know. L- Before people used to have that issues of um, the taxis or people using horses. So, okay, like they're going to get rid of an industry, but it proves that things are going to get improved. They focus on their expertise, what they came here to do, and with that, they will allow that artists focus on their creations. And here in ChatGPT, you can already create voice, sound system with perfection. You can do voices, songs. If you see the songs, you cannot really tell whether this was done by an artificial intelligence or not. So practically, the greatest producers of music today, they already do a synthesized way. So you can say, I want a music about specific theme with some kind of expectation, and it creates for you. You have the animations too. They will provide a very great quality. And we're going to see great productions from Pixar and other um, companies using artificial intelligence. It's very common, but I think it's going to get to mainstream in a very little time. Uh, People use softwares. We have agents like develop that pretty much executes tasks from one programmer. So you can revise tasks done by people or take on roles, protagonist roles in the development of softwares. And what does that have to do with the rendering industry? Rendering has an approach of take advantage of the process, make the most out of the process. And artificial intelligence is going to help us for us to extract the best of us, of ourselves. And the main ability, the focus of the human being is going to be a human being. So things that were more philosophical, an expertise that was more humane, they're going to be more and more incorporated within these solutions. So human beings, they are going to really explore their own abilities and capacities besides what goes beyond. So I showed here ChatGPT. This is something that people are already used to using it. I also talked about some of the solutions that already exist, but it goes beyond that. Nowadays, we have solutions like the business agents that perform tasks as human beings. So some of them can already, you can give your password for them and they can develop tasks like download taxes in the City Hall website or do tasks that are repeated, or it can act as your assistant. What changes in this process? ChatGPT is based on conversations. So you send a request and it sends you back something in a text. But the business agents, they go about tasks for you. I'm going to show you some tasks that it can go about for you. This task here, it's a task like talk to a website. This is not the main agent. Just so this is a part of the platform, just so you can see, I use the Nara website and I ask it to talk to it so you can talk to the website. And I asked him, who are the Nara associates? And it already provided me with them. So you can talk to the website. This is not an agent, it's just one of the tools that do some of these things. Can you read it? I asked to come up with a summary of what NARA is about and how can I talk to the associates, and some facts related to NARA. It extracted from the industry and what is the impact of NARA in the industry overall. I'm going to show you another demonstration here. And this one, we're already talking to an agent that you can talk to him. I am sending an audio and asking for me to bring me updated information about Santos Sport and also some information about the rendering market. So it's going to go about this research and it's going to generate this audio of the summary. What happens? We are used to a chat that it's something very fast since it's a back and forth information is a more practical experience. This experience here, it's practically as if you had like a work partner helping you. So it takes a longer time because it researches in many websites. So for instance, if you ask it to make a research and then the research has 200 pages, it's going to look at the 200 Google pages, it's going to bring you a summary and it comply with something very summarized. So it might take a few minutes for you to get the answer. Okay, here you can actually listen to the audio, but it just provided me with a summary of the rendering market with information about that moment, if there's any updates. And this is the link that it showed me with information about the Santos port. So it's a bit of a different experience, but I believe it's going to help us because we'll be able to focus much more on what is important. And it's an issue of really enabling the collaborators, people that work with us, for them to focus on what really matters. By the way, getting people, as I've mentioned today, that are not so specialized in some activities and help them develop these skills because this process is asynchronous. So here you can see some of the port information. And here I asked the question for it to research which countries have sanitary agreements with Brazil. And you can ask other questions, more specific ones. You know, eventually it's important to make the correct information, like how to extract chemical elements. I mean, so your question is going to determine the quality of the answer. So here I asked about what is the sanitary legislation for the exports of chicken feet from Brazil to Arab, and here ChatGPT uses as a base its base, which is a base that was developed throughout the years. So it does research outside that scope, that database. It's something superficial. This agent It performs research as if it were a human being. Of course, we would look at 1 and 2 pages from Google, and if we don't find what we want, we change the term to try to find it. Here, it can perform much more tasks and bring you link references and other things. It's a task for you to create a mind map with the market, the trends of the rendering market for the next 5 years. If it could, it would also provided me with a link to for me to see this mind map and get deeper into it. As I've said, it's a rather different experience compared to ChatGPT because it's much faster, but the quality of the work, it is phenomenal. Here, some of the solutions the agent can connect with over 8,000 different applications. So you can go about tasks in marketing, in the operational part, and the sales. It's something very disruptive. So I believe that in the next 3 years, we're going to see companies that are going to be very different in their processes and the way that they work. Perhaps this is going to be good because more and more people are going to feel pleasure in their works because these very laborious tasks are going to be substituted by robots. This is a simple task that ChatGPT also performs, but here it could do something different with these images, which is to go beyond that thing of generating images. So also performing. So for instance, I can ask to create a post for me about the innovations, rendering innovations and the impact when it comes to sustainability. So it would do the same research here. It would publish on the website and it will share it on social media. So it's very different from that part that we were talking about before. Here you can take a look at the images. I can show you another example. And the best thing, I wanted to use these examples, even though this is something simple, but it already shows the impact that we have on our day-to-day life. And the main detail that people didn't really pay attention to, which is the interface, the big different, the differential is that we don't have to have like another application on the cell phone. We can use it via Telegram or WhatsApp, and it's going to add much more it's much more practical, and we won't have to use other applications or solutions. So in your company, you can have 10 different applications, but you only need your WhatsApp or your Telegram to be able to interact with the agents and then for go about your tasks. So ask here for us to create an infograph for me to post on Instagram. Hello. And this is what we're going to see in the next years. Each one focusing on what they do best. This is just a demonstration. It was just to show you some of the differences and the impact of artificial intelligence on our day-to-day life. I believe the rendering industry is going to take great advantage of these innovations because of, you know, the culture, the core behind this whole industry, like try to make the most of everything and also to meet the demands of a cycle. And here we have all these agents that can provide us with support. And so I thank you. In case you have any questions, I'll be here on the AgriGlobo stand. And I am very grateful for being here. So thank you so much. And I am here at your disposal if you need anything.